Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. It's our only stream this week. How awful for you and for everyone else. But still, welcome. This should be the finale of our limited Coriolis series, An Abyss Midmost, and we hope it delights you as much as it delights us. Let me start off, as I almost always do, by introducing our stream manager. And tonight, as it always is on Wednesdays, it's the wonderful John. Hi, John. How are you doing?
Hi, Matt. I'm not too bad.
You're not
I
too
just
bad.
had some seagulls start screaming outside my window as soon as I go live, so that's fun.
How alarming. Maybe they know something that you don't. Um, Maybe they know that before the stream started, you claimed that The Rock was in Star Trek The Next Generation. um, yes. No, it's true, though. It's true. He did. So with that indelicately thrust aside, John is the stream manager. If you see him pop up, he's just telling us that something's gone horribly wrong with the stream. He's usually monkeying around with images and rules and chat and stuff like that. Let's get the promo out of the way. If you look down below, you'll see a bunch of links. There's links to YouTube and links to Twitch. You're watching on one, why not check out the other? There's links to our social media. There's links to our Discord, which you can join and talk about all things role-playing and telling tales. There's links to our Patreon, where you can get some lovely, delightful rewards, like access to the patron-only area of our Discord, behind-the-scenes tidbits like sort of GM notes, character creation videos, stuff like that. And there's even bigger rewards that no one will ever take. And honestly, I kind of hope they don't. But yeah, it's all there. Why not go check it out? We run 3 weekly streams, normally, not this week. Mondays is usually Call of Cthulhu. Tuesdays is currently Blades in the Dark, and Wednesday, which is currently Coriolis, but we'll be returning to our channel mainstay of Symbaroom next Wednesday, and all of those start at 8 o'clock BST in the evening. We also have monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month, and we've had a whole bunch of them through this year: Alien and Troika and Maltborg and The Expanse and Fiasco and Honey Heist. They're all available in VOD form over on our YouTube. The next one is going to be a week on Saturday. That's Saturday, the 7th of August. And that's going to be me running One Ring, specifically the new alpha build of One Ring from Free League. So that'll be a lot of fun. Speaking of Free League, every other Sunday, we run a Symbaroom series over on their Twitch as well. And that's on this Sunday afternoon. And that starts at 3 o'clock BST in the afternoon. And it's kind of fortnightly. So yeah, you can join us there for that as well. Oh my word, that's a lot of promo. Everyone has left. That's fine. That's fine. It's what you love us for. So let's talk Coriolis. Our crew have been stranded on a planet for quite some time now, and it's only now that they're starting to make contact with the outside world and have some glimmer of rescue on the horizon. So let's talk about what happened in the last session, and we'll start with our first player tonight, Stephen. Stephen, who plays Hamza. Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Stephen. So Hamza is the kind of engineer and dock worker and stevedore, appropriately, of the group. Why don't you tell us how last week started?
So we started at this mysterious ancient pyramid that we'd kind of tracked across the landscape on this planet where we'd crashed. But before we investigated the pyramid itself, we looked around the perimeter and found in a grove of trees yet another crashed spaceship. This one belonged to the consortium. We broke in and had a look around, and it seemed to be some kind of science research vessel. The engine room was completely smashed up. The rest of it was mostly intact. There was a bunch of scientific equipment that we couldn't really figure out. There were some computers that were mostly fried, but identified it as a scientific mission that had been there for about 11 years. And there were some body bags in the hold. Which
always a good sign.
Yeah, which strongly implied that there was somebody who at one point at least had been alive and put them in the body bags, and then we didn't know where they were. So we had a good investigate of that. and then I think we decided that we would use that as shelter for the night. But before that, we were going to go and investigate the pyramid itself.
Yeah, and I think that's where our second player will come in. Let's bring on Mike. Mike plays Sadira, a somewhat troubled wanderer out of 2 troubled wanderers in the group. Why don't you lead us through what happened next, Mike?
So we made the decision to go and investigate this pyramid, which is sort of like why we headed in this direction anyway. I think initially myself and Adam climbed to the top of it and didn't really find much. And then we sort of met up with the others, and we sort of made the sort of pretty hasty decision just to sort of barrel in through this entranceway that existed. And inside the entranceway, we didn't find much apart from a transponder, which seemed kind of odd because this structure is very, very old, and the transponder probably wasn't that old. And it was potentially sort of interfering with a communicator that we were using as well. And so we flicked a switch on the bottom of the transponder, if I remember correctly, and that made us able to sort of communicate with others around.
Absolutely, you had a planet-wide communicator, and just a transponder in this pyramid, seemingly out of place, and all it took was flicking a switch. And suddenly communications were back up. And who did you communicate with? Let's bring on Chris. Chris plays Luia, the pilot of the group. Chris, tell us about that wonderful conversation you had.
Well, let's put it in context, because one of the things we found on the science ship was a map of the area about 10 years old, showing no other of the planets, showing no other human settlement. And when we dialed up the communicator, we got a response from a not very helpful, but certainly a lady from the Combine, not the Combine, the
consortium.
The consortium, but specifically
conglomerate of corporations, and specifically from the Foundation, which is like their scientific branch. And
somewhat more specifically, I believe the ship had insignia indicating that it was from an archaeological subset as well.
Yeah, ARCA, which is like the Foundation's, as you say, archaeological division. So
it took some time in one of the few role-play tech support calls I've had to go through in my recent years to try and get them to take the Mayday we put out seriously, and they said they'd be with us in about 2 or 3 days, and that we were kind of effectively under arrest, but that's kind of normal for these situations.
And it has to be said, and I was discussing this earlier with our stream manager, it is the most typical role player discussion we've had on the channel, in that as soon as you learned that you were being rescued, you started immediately engaging in a conversation of how to kill your rescuers. So we talked about that for a while, but that point, I mean, it didn't become moot. It's still something that maybe needs to be confronted later. But there was certainly a very unexpected development from that point. And why don't we bring on the final member of the group, Sam, who plays Adam, the other mysterious and troubled wanderer of the group. I should point out, it's not because they've made the same character, it's because they are troubled wanderers together. Sam, how did we move forward last session and wrap it up?
So I think after that conversation, we basically kind of slept, decided we'd wait out the next few days. And the following day, we kind of went about our business. It looked like there was a storm coming in, which was the first time we'd seen any kind of rain or bad weather at all, really, since we've landed here. And then everything kind of got thrown into complete disarray when a ship broke atmosphere kind of over the plane where we had crash landed. At first, we weren't really sure, what was going on. I think we made another call to the Foundation, the woman from the Foundation, and she just said, "Yeah, that ship has nothing to do with us," which obviously set off some alarm bells for us. And we all kind of took up various positions. I think Adam and Lavir went to the kind of entrance in the pyramid. Sadira took point kind of at the edge of the pyramid, and then Hamza was, I think, sort of in a forest nearby. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he was among the trees near the spaceship at first, but now has moved to where Sadira is. I think. Yep. Is that right, Stephen?
That's right. Yeah.
And so then this ship initially it seemed to land on the plain near where we had come from, and then took off again, flew straight towards the pyramid, and landed like just next to the river that separates the pyramid and the plain. And a few people got out, and on the side of this ship, I think, was the word Zorna. And a man got out and started speaking to us, and he revealed that he had nothing to do with these crashed ships or anything like that. He wasn't here to save us. He wasn't even really here to hurt us yet, but he wanted a box that one of our companions initially on the ship had, that he was very secretive about and that had been kind of hidden away, and that we had not recovered and that we hadn't found on the ship. And basically that if we didn't get this for him within a very short, was it an hour?
He said that you had an hour to come up with either Arbud, the guy who died in the crash, or his box, which, as far as you know, was atomized in the crash.
Yeah, so it seems bad. And that if we didn't do that, he would start pulling teeth, I think were his exact words.
Yes, he and his companions, who are dressed quite outlandishly and who he refers to as the Harlequins, would start pulling teeth. And he also made reference that he works for something or someone called the Smile. Yes. And if anyone's taking notes, they landed in the spaceship. They're wearing kind of almost Harlequin-esque outfits, and refer to themselves as the Harlequins. Technically, they are killer clowns from outer space. Although that's not why I wrote them in.
No one's going to believe that.
No one's going to believe that. I believe his name is Tristano as well, the lead one. Yeah. Should we be concerned about that? And we'll pick up exactly where we left off. So to set the scene again, it's pouring with rain, thunder rumbling overhead, a familiar state for those of us on the crew in the United Kingdom today. And standing in the river opposite the pyramid are, I believe, 4 of the Harlequins, who are dressed in sort of quite flexible, laminated body armor with that's kind of painted white with red and blue triangular designs on, or wearing dark duster coats over the top of that, with rather intimidating sort of grotesque commedia dell'arte masks on top of them, and holding rifles. Tristano has retreated to the confines of their spaceship. And there you are, 2 of you, Chris and Sam, are in the actual room in the pyramid, I believe. And Mike and Stephen, I should be using character names really, are round on the back of the pyramid. And we'll just pick up here. I see no reason why not to. So, we don't have... The communicator is between Hamza and Sadira, if I remember, and not between myself and Adam. Correct. Right. Who are stood together. I will... just go, okay, so we play for time and then hope the others are in a good position, and then when they come for us, they come for them too.
You just want to wait and fight?
I am pretty sure that I saw the remains of Abud when we burned the crew members. I cannot turn ash back to flesh.
No. But I know we don't have his box, and in any case, it would take us more than an hour to get back there. So,
yeah, so it's fight or fight. We've already called for help. Well, we did until they jammed us. I will look forlornly at the communicator.
I'm trying to ascertain at this point whether I have any idea about what's transpired. I was kind of around the other side of a pyramid, so I guess I'm still just kind of sneaking around trying to get a view of what was happening.
I'm not sure you would have seen anything terribly, but you know what? Despite the kind of drumming of the rain and the thunder, Tristano's voice carried quite well. He may have even had some kind of like amplifier doing it, or perhaps he just has a very loud voice. But either way, I'd say you definitely at least heard the second half of the conversation. So you'll definitely know they're looking for Arbud and or his possessions. If they don't get them in an hour,
Okay.
they seem to be threatening some form of violence.
Well,
And of course we should recall that ship was armed.
Oh, it's a gunship, yeah.
Mentioning it forlornly to Adam.
I can't see how we escape this. We're so outgunned.
When your back is against the wall, all that is left to do is to turn around and fight.
Should we call the people, the Foundation? At least then they'd know who.
We're jammed. I assume we're still jammed.
You are still jammed, yeah.
Unless I can convince them to fly the ship off. Maybe the jamming. Oh God, the jammers and those things would cover 100 kilometers. I don't think we'll get.
I mean, they could. Obviously, they're targeting this area. You don't know how to specifically get rid of that.
I think whatever happens, we must meet them outside. I do not want to be inside an eons old stone structure when modern weapons are turned upon it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What are the two at the back of the pyramid thinking at this point?
I'm thinking that I hid in the woods with the original intent of being some kind of element of surprise, but that I'm quite a large, noticeable person and perhaps not the best person for the job, and that I've only got the dimmest idea of what's happening and what everyone else is planning. So I think I'm going to make my way around to the entrance to the pyramid, even if that means risk being seen, because I need to talk to people who aren't the people that have the communicator, but the people that were in the conversation.
Yeah, sure.
Matt, am I right in thinking that at the end of the last session, like Tristano made reference to the fact that he knew that there were a few of us here, and like I think did he like? I don't think he directly said like there's one of you hiding in X. And
No.
hiding in Y.
I think the idea was you get the impression that he knows roughly how many there are of you, which I suppose we could make a roll for, but perhaps he or one of the Harlequins is a good tracker, because in that savannah, you'll have left considerable tracks. So
yeah,
or he simply could have estimated from the average crew berths on on a ship of the size that was downed. You don't know.
Okay.
But it sounds like Hamza is maybe going to sneak around to where Luir and Adam are, and is the idea then that Sidira stays concealed?
Well, I think I'm going to ask Hamza that. Like, Sidira's a little bit panicked, a little bit anxious, like holding on to Hamza. Like, what are we doing? What is the plan?
Right. One of us needs to meet up with Luir and Adam. Find out what they know about the conversation and what they want to do. Maybe we can keep one of us back as some kind of surprise, some kind of ambush. Do you have one of the carbines?
Yeah, I've got a carbine. I can hide.
I'm only any good up close. There is not much point in me sneaking around. Okay. If we stay in radio contact, shall I get to the others and you stay out of sight? Okay.
I'll be near the crash ship.
Okay. Or, I mean, stay up on the side of the pyramid if you think that's where you'll get the best shot from. Just try to not be seen.
Okay. Be safe.
The ship, as I recall, is basically around the back of the pyramid, right? It's on the east side.
It is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Which is also I believe. No, you know what? I think your exoloader is at the base of the pyramid at the back, because I think that's where you came out of it to climb the pyramid the previous day.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite close. And I would point out that exoloaders have an armor rating.
They do have an armor rating.
Your chance of sneaking up on someone in one of them is almost nil, admittedly.
Yeah, and they're basically useless in combat.
Sure,
and I am actually wearing armor.
Oh, well, there we go then.
Donated by Loir. So,
Hamza, before you go, look after Adam. I need him.
I'll do my best.
Okay, Hamza, I'm assuming you're going to try and be sneaky, making your way around to the front of where they are.
It won't hurt to try, will it?
It won't hurt to try. Why don't you give me an infiltration roll then, please? And that, I believe, will be a opposed roll. Yes.
Against
so I'll
them.
roll for them. Yeah, I'll roll for them. And let's see, what would that be? That would be their observation. They don't automatically have a stat in that, but they do have that. And you know what? I think they would have at least some observation. So I'm going to take a little bit.
I know Stephen's zero face.
Well, in case you do, you also know mine. So, and I'd say, unless there's any official ruling on it, only the aggressor can reroll via praying. Usually in these games, if you're flat tied, then I'd say that the aggressor or the person acting as opposed to reacting is the person who prevails. And I got no successes, you got no successes. I'd say you're fairly confident that you don't think you were particularly sneaky, but neither did you notice them paying any attention to you coming around. Visibility isn't great. You can see them standing in the river. You're sure if they looked directly at you, they could see you. But, there's a lot of movement and motion. There are trees blowing in the wind. There's this water, rain pouring down. You think you might have made it in there without them seeing you.
Okay. Well, I guess there's no way of knowing at that distance anyway, but it's a big pyramid and it's bad weather, so maybe that works for me.
Sure.
So I will meet up with the others. And
this is a shock.
Yeah, I was no good in the forest back there. I caught the end of the conversation. They want the impossible or they're going to pull teeth, right?
Yeah.
Sadira is hiding around the side of the pyramid. I am in radio contact with her in case we need a marks person, a sniper.
I'm
only good up close, but I don't see any. Well, I see two ways out of this. One is that we try to fight them and go down in a hell of gunfire. The other is that maybe we can talk them out of this.
We can try, but the leader disappeared back off into their prodigiously well-armed gunship some time back. Maybe I can ask for parley?
It's worth a try. My best guess is they're not going to kill you for asking. They're going to kill you when the time's up. Well, all of us, not just you specifically.
Okay. Does anyone have some wonderful gambit?
I follow the messenger. I'm not the greatest person at speaking, but perhaps they can help out.
Yes, but what do we convince them of? The messenger can carry all sorts of messages, but I do not at the minute need a menu for the local falafel.
Killing us doesn't achieve anything. We can tell them where the wreck is. I imagine they already know.
They were adamant they'd searched it.
So they think that we have the box. So they're going to kill us to find out.
Do we tell them we've hidden the box? And I can't think.
We can't prove it negative.
Is
But I
there
just wonder
anywhere that's multiple days away from here that we could say the box is and pray the Foundation arrive in time?
Not multiple days by ship. That would be Coriolis is multiple days away.
That's true. Their ship. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think we may
We
as
can
well
ask
try
for
to
parlay.
talk.
We can talk them into maybe if we tell them that there is something at the there's something at the crash site that they're guaranteed to have overlooked. It will convince them to take the ship away, which might, probably not, but might give us the scope to get an emergency message out and some time to flee into the forest. That's all I've got.
Did we think? I don't really understand this, but did we think that perhaps the transponder we had could bring down ships on? Is that
we didn't get it turned on in time when we saw this ship approaching. But if we can get them to go away, we can bring them down when they return. Perhaps. All of this requires being able to persuade them that there is something worth investigating that they missed back at the crash site. Frankly, I think our lives are in the hands of the messenger at this point to help us convince them of that.
Agreed. So they're going to leave someone to watch us because you do not take such a foolish step without insurance. There will need to be bloodshed for that person. Can you ask Zadira to make the attack when necessary?
I can put the call through. Perhaps we need to sort the parlay first.
Yes.
If that goes well, and Tristano and possibly some of the Harlequins, possibly none of the Harlequins go away, then we'll know what we're facing. Then I think Sidira gets to act once before they know that she's there.
Yeah, but she has the best. Oh, do you know what? Look, there's no point in micromanaging this. It is not a trajectory. It is a moment of fate. I will go and ask for the parlay unless anyone wishes to offer anything else.
Well, I think we need to agree where we're going to tell them the box is.
Well, the box is at the crash site. We must talk to them and convince them that whatever searches they did either have not found its remains or...
The box is buried 200 paces south of the frame that we built. Right? That's close enough directions that they could find it, but enough that they have to go and look, enough that they may have to dig.
There are, of course, multiple crash sites.
There are, of course, multiple crash sites. I presume they know which one we came down in, but they also know, I presume, that we've been to many other crashes. It's just ours is the furthest away, right?
It is, yeah. Not by too much, though. The ones to the north and the south are roughly the same distance away. They presumably do know where you're... Like, you'd be surprised if they didn't identify yours. Yeah.
I think the problem with saying we buried it is that we don't know what's in it. And I don't think we'd bury something that we...
It seemed important.
Cause.
We couldn't open it. We didn't want to carry it with us on the expedition. It was added weight.
Why bury it then?
Because it may be useful,
Buried
because
treasure.
it may be valuable. What do they have to go on?
I would rather say we just forgot it at one of the other crash sites. We recovered it, we couldn't open it, and we just...
Okay, so the one where the galley ceiling fell on me, we lost it there. They could go in, they can explore. That's a dangerous wreck. It will take them some time.
Okay.
So it sounds... This is what I'm hearing. It sounds like you're going to try and convince Tristano that the Arbud's possessions were at that northern crash site that collapsed on you. And then while the ship is in the air, you're going to transponder and hope that whatever it does it affects that while it's in the air.
Sufficiently low-flying ships that maybe we can bring it down.
And ships that are under piloted control as well. Like there's a possibility this interferes with navigation, and that's usually the province of an autopilot system. But you don't know. But either way, it's getting Tristano and maybe some of the Harlequins away, and in the meantime,
if the plan messes up, they're going to try to kill us. But we're already in that situation,
right? Yeah, sure. That seems reasonable. So it sounds like you've got a call to make to Sadira.
Yeah. Yes. I will call Sadira and explain that this is what the plan is, and so Sadira, we need you ready when the ship goes. We need to see who is left, and we may need you to take out as many of them as you can.
Sneak attack.
Then once they focus on you, perhaps we have Adam here with the carbine as well. I would go down and punch them, but that's a long way down without being seen.
Sure. Okay. Anything else?
This is all we've got. We're going to try and distract them. We're going to try and crash the ship. We're going to try and
crash the ship. So we need a transponder.
Yeah.
Are we going to use the transponder that's up there with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
I say, looking to Levere and Adam.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a transponder here.
We know it works, or we know it doesn't work. We know it works.
This one definitely brings ships down.
Sure.
We just didn't get it. We didn't get it on in time when they arrived last time.
I'll be hiding nearby. Yeah, call me when you need me.
Okay. So, with that in mind, it sounds like you've got to get Tristana's attention and negotiate some kind of parlay. And it sounded like Levere was the person being nominated for this.
I think I'll take Hamza with me, but I'll also, just as one last point of tactics, I would like Adam, if you would be so kind to remain up here, and when the ship leaves, I need you to first hit the emergency beacon or make the call to the home team and let them know we are actually under attack, and then I need you to enable the beacon.
I would really like to go down and speak to these people. It's
okay. Look, I can make bold up these stairs in a hurry if necessary. Let's all go together then, with the exception, of course, of Sadira, who is our ace in the hole.
I'm also not sure that they know that I'm in here with you. So maybe we can keep it that way and I can operate the machinery.
Okay. Just don't forget.
I'm better with machines than with people.
Well, yeah.
You are being jammed, are you not?
Yes. There's two assumptions here. We have to wait. If that jamming signal abates, you make the emergency call, let them know what's going on, then enable the transponder. If the jamming signal does not abate after 5 or 6 minutes after they dust off, just enable the transponder. There's nothing else we can do. Okay.
Just so you know, it would definitely not take them 5 or 6 minutes to get from here to the site.
Yeah, we need to get the timing right on this.
Okay, count to 30.
Yeah, or just look and see where the ship is in the sky.
Yeah. I assume even in a storm, it's going to be like an engine.
It'll be it'll be very bright
when it's high up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay. Can I throw in one other game thing, which is just to mention the group talent that has not been used in this game so far.
Go for it.
That is the messenger's talent, which I think we tweaked slightly during the character creation, but what I've got written here says once per session we can make a player character or NPC obey you without rolling manipulation. The wish must be reasonable.
Is that a group one or is that that your one?
Maybe that is mine. Oh,
It is also mine, in fairness. I believe it's called, it's just the messenger's talent.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
whatever
our
your book
group
number.
one is Last Laugh.
last laugh.
I think it gives me a darkness point, but
Sure, put it on the pile, Matt.
think-
Put it on the pile.
I think. John, can you double check that gives me a darkness point? But I think it does.
It does give you a
I'm
dark
certain
point.
it
It
does,
does. Yeah.
because
I
it's
think
a
all of the iconic
power.
abilities do. Yes. Cool. Thank you. All right. So the rain is still pouring down, the thunder is still rumbling, and Luria and Adam have presumably emerged from the chamber in the pyramid and are delicately making their way down because the stone it's quite moss covered and it's quite slippy underfoot now, as the rate the pyramid is a waterfall essentially. As you're making your way down, you notice as you're about halfway down, kind of the almost imperceptibly the harlequins standing in the now roaring river, kind of, you can just see them not necessarily moving a lot, but just definitely coming more to attention, like the tips of the rifles just being held up to bear slightly more. And as you kind of reach the ground in front of the pyramid, one of the harlequins turns and says something too quietly for you to hear over the sound of the river, and Tristano, just a few seconds later, walks down the ramp of the gunship, still unmasked, and walks through the river and stands in front of the other harlequins with that same open, quite friendly expression on his pale, scarred face. I think, as we discussed, kind of dark hair or brownish hair, kind of tied back tightly, down with a ponytail down to his waist, essentially. Yes. In fact, that's what he says. Yes.
We come to parley and hopefully save some teeth.
Well, that seems like a delightful decision.
So,
Matt, sorry. I'd like to use my mystical power, which is mind reader.
I knew that's why you were going.
I mean, what? It's like of course, that was where I was going.
Yeah, absolutely. So you tell me how this works. I'm assuming for a start, I get a darkness point. I'm assuming that happens every time a mystical power is used.
Yes, that is true.
Okay.
I think I roll mystical power like the roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a
skill.
success. And you can read someone else's thoughts for a minute or so. You can only read surface thoughts. You can't dig for any deeper memories. Your target must be within close range.
Okay, sure. Well, rather than me kind of do a Ulysses on this, and why don't you just ask? You can ask me like surface level questions while we're discussing this. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
I'm assuming the subject has no comprehension that their mind is being read or anything like that. So
I don't think so. No,
I don't think so. Okay. Yeah. Tristano is waiting for you to go ahead, Luria.
Can you let me know what wreck sites you have surveyed so far and how sure you are that you have not found the box?
You see his brow kind of wrinkle slightly, and he looks to a harlequin stood to his right, who kind of turns to him and kind of tilts his head quizzically. Obviously, you can't see his face under the grotesque mask. And Tristano turns back and it's almost a comical pose. He kind of swings one leg back and brings his other arm like in a wide sweep up as he tilts his head, kind of, and says, "What are the crash sites?"
There are many downed ships in the field. You should be able to pick up at least the remnants of their metal. The shining light, obviously, is the furthest to the west, nearest the forest, and then progressing eastwards toward the pyramid.
Yes, this seemed to be the one that we had discovered. You're saying that there are others?
There are others, and we know for a fact that the box was moved from with us until we reached the wreck to the southwest Some
northeast, I believe, is the one.
northeast, close.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Northeast, some 3 kilometers.
Something like that, yeah. I see. And why would this box have been left here? He says this with a kind of florid over-expression of, like, a question.
Well,
we were carrying the box with us. We couldn't open it, but when we were investigating the ship, part of it collapsed, and the box was left behind. We didn't want to go in again and get it. The ship was in a bad state.
and we far less fortunate with our water and food than we are now.
I'm assuming at this point you are invoking the messenger's talent.
Yes, please. Which
Okay,
John has
so-
kindly provided.
Yes, you can make someone obey you through careful words and actions without having to test manipulation. Can be used on both NPCs and PCs. Your wish must be reasonable. You cannot, for example, force an NPC to act completely against their own interests. And I think that this is perfectly reasonable. And that comes with a darkness point, doesn't it? As I think we said all the icon talents do. Perhaps, I'm sure John will contradict us if we're wrong. Sam, did you want to like at any point have you wanted like some surface?
Yeah, when we talk about the box, like, do I get any kind of does he kind of figure out what he might want with the box when we're talking about it, or his like reaction to? He's
very focused on it. As soon as the box was mentioned, you get the sense that he is very, very desperate to obtain this, and seemingly you just get flashes of thoughts about his employer, his whoever he works for, and underlying this, you definitely get the sense that this is a cold, very calculating man, this Tristano. But he has kind of a brief flash of thought of it kind of not being there or having been taken, or, you know, if it's been left somewhere. And coming along with that is a stray thought of what should happen if he fails the smile. And that has a deep, cold undercurrent of fear to it.
Okay. That is useful to know, but also very scary.
Tristano glances over at the Harlequin to his right again, and said Harlequin makes a kind of head and shoulder gesture, maybe half a shrug, maybe just an odd kind of motion. Again, oddly kind of formalistic to your eyes. And Tristano kind of turns back and says, "Very well. We will go investigate this ship of mysteries. And hopefully, upon our return, we will bear our master's goods, and then any sense of unpleasantness can be avoided. And we will simply pass apart, strangers met briefly in the pouring rain."
Fair winds.
He turns and kind of his coat swirls slightly in the rough water, and he retreats to the gunship with one other Harlequin, not the one he kept looking at, who kind of takes a pace forward, maybe perhaps his second in command or something. Have you got any questions about that, Sam? There is also something I will give you for free after you've asked me any questions you're asking me.
Does it seem like he believes this is our story?
He certainly, you wouldn't say he's completely convinced, but he certainly believes you enough to genuinely go and look.
Okay, that is good. I would try to, like, I would pay attention to if he had any thoughts about what they might be like really planning to do to us. But
he is absolutely lying.
Okay.
You are obviously he wasn't explicitly thinking these things. You are fairly sure that if the box were there, he would come back and certainly not leave you be.
Okay.
What that would imply, you're not quite sure, but the impressions you get even from the surface thoughts of this man is that he is not a pleasant individual.
Yeah. Okay. I think that was about it for my questions.
So I assume the ship dusts off. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, so I am. Yes. Tristano retreats to the gunship and takes off with one of those other Harlequins. As that happens, what are the two of you doing? Because obviously in my head, you were kind of stood on kind of the edge of this river, and the other Harlequins are maybe like 15 feet or so away from you, stood in the middle of the river. Are you kind of like moving back to the pyramid, or are you remaining where you are? You know what's happening.
I'll actually address the Harlequins and go. There is a stone chamber in the pyramid which is sheltered if you wish to take leave from the river.
None of the three of them respond.
Well, if you'll excuse us, we will take such an advantage.
Okay. So you're turning around and kind of retreating your way up the pyramid. Hamza, the ship has dusted off.
Okay, so do we have a signal?
How long are you going to wait to verify that?
What's my best estimate of how long it will take to fly to the other crash site from here?
You think it's going to just take maybe under 5 minutes for absolute sure. Like the ship has to get to a certain height, but then it's moving extremely fast over the landscape, and it's only, what did we say, about 12 kilometers away?
They've got 2 minutes then, while I will try to send out a distress call to try and catch them. Essentially, I want to try and catch them at the highest altitude that they can.
Sure, absolutely.
Going out there. So, yeah, I'll try for 2 minutes.
Well, what you get is essentially the jamming signal pitching in and out slightly as kind of the distance increases, but certainly not like you don't think it's to the point of being able to make a coherent call.
Okay. Then after 2 minutes, I will turn on the transponder.
Okay. You dash over. I believe I said it was inside like a little like pull down section. You flick it on. Can we have, please, Laria and Adam? I'm assuming you're trying to make your way up this pyramid quite fast.
Yes.
So why don't what I need from both of you is a dexterity or force roll. With the pouring rain, I'd also like you to take a 2 dice penalty to that. And I know with some of your injuries, it's possible that you'll also take another penalty or some damage or something like that.
Do you know what I think I was going to say? Like maybe Adam wants up the hill quickly. I actually want to get a couple of levels up the pyramid slowly, and then maybe start working my way around it to take cover. Because I also have a stunner, so.
Okay, fair enough. That's absolutely fine then. Well, then you don't need to make any of those rolls, Chris. That's fine. But Adam, if you're still going up the pyramid, I'll need one from you.
Yeah. The entrance to the pyramid would give like some kind of cover in a gunfight.
Definitely. Yes, it definitely would. Yeah, especially if you were like lying down on the stone of it and aiming down. It absolutely would.
Okay,
quite good cover.
Nice. With a 2 dice penalty, I'm rolling 2 die. And this also does damage me. I got a 5 and a 6.
Yeah,
really good. What is your? Is it lacerated kidney? I think.
Yeah,
I recall it being. Yeah. You make your way up as fast as you can, kind of heaving yourself up each step. As we said, they're like sort of. I think I said they're about like 4-foot blocks, something like that. That you have to kind of like pull yourself up. And by the time you get to the top, you can kind of, let's say you get to the top and you see Hamza kind of knelt down next to the transponder, kind of fiddling with it, and you kind of just hold like your side at the back with the pain of having exerted yourself getting up there. And both of you being so high up, the others probably hear it as well, but you hear it even more. The kind of, there's a dull roar of that starcraft as it's making its way through the atmosphere, and you just hear a kind of, I guess a kind of stereotypical starship going wrong noise, that kind of and anyone looking around will see that the gunship has started to kind of like come down in sharp spiraling curves. It doesn't appear to have lost complete control, but evidently whoever was piloting it had it at least on some form of autopilot and is now grappling with the controls and trying to get everything turned back on before they make contact with the ground. But they're not that high off the ground. So this means two things. Number one, they'd be an unbelievable pilot if they didn't crash down. Secondly, it's probably not going to be that destructive or fatal. Like, ships do have massive shock absorbers. They just can't handle it when they're torn apart, breaking atmosphere forcefully, and then but at the same time, maybe they won't be able to lift off straight away or anything like that. So it is working, but it's probably not going to be a fiery conflagration when they hit the ground. But it is working. The Harlequins, for their part, two of them are kind of looking over their shoulder and kind of at the ship as it comes down. Apologies, we're getting atmospheric rain here. This wonderful pathetic fallacy. I don't know if you can hear it, but it is literally a storm as I am running this. But the other one, the one who seemed the second in command, flicked kind of over his shoulder for a second and now has turned back towards the pyramid and is hefting his rifle up and starting to move forward out of the river. So he's clocked that you've done something.
I will radio Sidira and say, now.
That seems appropriate. So let's give Sidira a free shot before we turn into any, before we start talking about initiative and stuff like that. I think that's reasonable, don't you? So Mike, I think I'd say, why don't you describe to me how you're set up?
So I think I have set up in a position that's as well hidden but as close to where the baddies are as possible, because the range of the Vulcan carbine isn't that great. So like, even if I've had to like sneak towards like the front of the pyramid, but obviously to the side of the pyramid, like away from view, maybe low down, crouched in any grasses or led prone in any grasses, something like that, to hide myself a little bit. That's what I would be doing.
Okay. Well, I think if the best shot you can get on them will be from the pyramid, because you're elevated. I think if you want something which would be uncomfortable but certainly quite hidden, would be kind of, if you imagine kind of the sides of the pyramid, like not the part facing them, but like tucked in at one of the front edges of that, with like you just forward and aiming your rifle down, you would be very hard to hit. Possibly you would be covered in an absolute river of water, but it wouldn't like interfere with your vision or anything. It'd just be kind of rushing past you and over you as you're doing it. Something like that, kind of I guess like a prone sniper position along would probably be. It's a very steady shot. That sound good? Who are you shooting at? One of the distracted Harlequins or the one moving forward towards the pyramid?
The one moving forward towards the pyramid.
That seems like a good idea. So what we're wanting from you then is a ranged combat roll, but there's some modifiers on this. So I'd say it's definitely an aimed shot because you've been aiming it. So you get a +2 dice on that. Also, if you are in cover and it's cover you're leaning on, which you are because you're resting the rifle or the carbine, then you get another +1. So you have an extra 3 dice on that. In addition to that, does the carbine itself have any bonuses?
Yeah, it's got a +1.
It does have a +1, so take that as well. The range of a carbine is short, and this is a long range shot. Let me have a look at how range works for a second. If I noted that down. which I should do. Okay, additional modifiers based on range.
One range step beyond the weapon's maximum range will suffer a -3 modifier.
Okay. You can fire your weapons at targets up on one range step beyond the weapon's maximum range. Yeah. Well, yeah, you are one step above. So basically you're going to get +4 dice and then a -3 dice. To that. So yeah.
Can we also talk about sneak attacks?
Yeah, we probably should, right? Because they do indeed have. Do you have the rules for sneak attacks right there in front of you?
I found a table that says the table of modifiers for sneak attacks and ambushes.
Oh god. What page is that on?
That is page 86, but I don't know if that's... So it's talking about range, but I don't know if that's ranges in distance or ranges in the weapon that you're using.
Sneak attacks and ambushes. Okay, yeah, you get extra on your initiative score.
Is that a modifier on initiative? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, an ambush. Yeah, no, I think we're okay with all this, but I'll give you a bonus to your initiative score when we get to initiative as well, but it doesn't add any modifiers to the attack as far as I can see. So that's fine.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're on...
says it's a +2 modifier, but you have to roll infiltration first. That's for ambush.
Okay.
Same for sneak attack, I think.
Okay, if it's a +2 modifier...
Surprise is just a +2. Oh, no, that's initiative score again. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not quite an ambush, I wouldn't say. So we'll just. I'm happy with the with giving you a +1 overall. I think, Mike. I think that's how it falls.
Okie doke. I will go ahead and roll that 7 dice. No 6s.
Take it. We're doing a good old pray to the icons for that.
I think it looks like we are. Yeah, looks like I'm having a big old pray.
Big old pray.
Oh, everyone there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll roll again, and no, none.
Oh my god!
No
14 dice.
14 dice.
No.
Does
none.
anyone have the email address for God?
Welcome back, Anton.
Do you know what? I was like, should I use my character's talent before that as well? I was like, no. Well, it's 3 guaranteed successes. I pray to the gambler.
I'm fine if you want to retcon and take that, especially in such a dramatic thing as this. I'm fine with you retconning and doing that.
Okay. Well, yeah. I will do that. I will do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Add a darkness point. Your friend and mine. The darkness point to your stash.
Point. Yeah. God, I better get spending these. I've got 14. Yeah. So what we'll do then? You have shot this man, and he. You have got 3 successes. So one is all you need for it, and then you spend the additional successes on additional things. You should have there is on the cheat sheet. You can increase damage, do a critical injury if you get over a certain over your weapon's crit rating, which you have. You can do suppressive fire, raise your initiative, disarm, all sorts of stuff like that. So what do we fancy doing?
I think I was probably minded to go for a critical injury here.
Sure. Excuse me once more. I swear, only days I stream does my mouse do this. Why I have to end up relearning it. Entertain yourselves while I'm gone.
Well, that was very much channeling my bad dice rolling luck. That was terrible.
14 dice.
Very on brand.
What do you say those odds are? By my calculation, that's about 1 in 14.
I'm not convinced by my calculation.
It's the numbers that we already mentioned.
I think it's 50-50. I was either going to make it or not.
As it always is, no matter how many dice are rolled. So
John is
yeah,
crying.
so the critical for a Vulcan carbine is indeed 2. So if you spend your 2 extras on a critical injury for this guy, that's absolutely fine, and it's a damage 3 on him. And his hit points. Let me just calculate this because it didn't calculate them for me, which is annoying. So the hit points are going to be that, and he does have armor, and I'll roll that in a second. But first, let's do his critical injury, because there's a chance you're just going to kill this guy right straight out with a critical injury, right? So why don't you, Mike? Why don't you give me a D66 roll, please? And we'll see what we do.
22.
22. That's almost as low as you can get. Oh no, that's actually pretty good in the case of this, to be fair. So you shoot at him, and let's see how just directly damaged he seems to be. Well, his armor roll, clearly, and Tom also made his armor roll because his armor didn't do anything. You've shot the guy. It's difficult to tell at this range kind of how badly wounded he is, but he has for sure dropped his gun, and he's kind of like scrambling around you can see him kind of scrambling around to pick it up, but then kind of pulling his hand back and kind of clutching at his hand, and you can see where his hand, like where the plating of his armor is kind of red hot against where your Vulcan round has gone through, because Vulcan rifles, I believe, shoot kind of superheated explosive stuff, right? So you appear to have definitely wounded him in the hand, and perhaps he won't be able to wield a gun anymore to any great degree, which has got to be a good start.
Nice.
And speaking of good starts, let's go into initiative, folks. So John, if you could please. Let's have initiatives from everyone, and this is just a simple D6 die roll, but can we add to the result, please? Can we add a +2 to Sadira's result? And we'll just do 1 for the Harlequins, John. That's absolutely fine, and the Harlequins have rolled 2. John has calculated 14 dice and no 6s is a 7.8% probability. Good stuff. Good stuff. So Chris has rolled a 5, Sam has rolled a 3, Mike has rolled a 6. Is that including your 2, Mike?
Oh, no, it wasn't.
So you're on an 8. Impressive. Wow. Stephen has rolled a 5 +1 for the Power Glove. Yep. That has an initiative boost. So it looks like you guys are acting, definitely getting to act before they are in pretty much any way, which is nice. So once John's sorted that initiative, we'll bring it up on screen for everyone. Chris.
Yeah, sorry, agility. We're working out a tie here. 4 for me. Hamza, how does your power loader work?
Let's just say I'll just roll a die. Is there another tiebreaker? I can just roll a die, and we can just settle it that way.
Did your power loader have a specific armor value on it? Because I can't find it in the rules.
Luria goes first.
I don't recall seeing an armor value, to be honest. Okay. I thought it was more just a thing to kind of help with.
Yeah, it's a force multiplier.
I believe the exoloader has an armor value of 2.
Okay.
It's not here.
Up armor earlier.
It's near.
It's around the other side of the pyramid in the woods.
Let me just double check that just on the off chance, but I believe exoshell, which is what it is, right? Is it has an armor rating of 2, but it is bulky and has a number of other issues with it. But yeah.
Okay, that was my only plan. I'll just
how are we doing with the initiative, John? John is getting
to suffer because I basically just made a space pilot, and now all I have done in this space game is crash spaceships.
Excellent.
I mean, technically, I crashed that one, but
there we go. Lovely. So, Sadira, you get another action straight away.
I think I'm going to take an aimed shot, but would one of the other guys be a level of range further away?
No, they're all within so basically, just to describe the ranges, close is up to 2 meters, short is up to 20, long is up to 100, so it's pretty big, and then extreme is up to 1 kilometer. So I think they're all within 100 meters. So they're all within long range.
Okay, I'm going to try and take an aimed shot at one of the other guys then, I think.
Okay. So that is a slow action, I believe. So that's going to be your entire thing for this turn, right? That's how that works. Yes. Go ahead then. Well, I don't see why it would be any different to the roll we've just made.
Well, I think it would be because it's not a surprise attack, maybe, right? Or is it?
I don't think we gave you any extra dice for that, did we? We gave you +2 for the aim, +1 for the cover, and +1 for the gun itself.
And it was -3 for something.
And then it's -3 for the range. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, cool. Okay. Well, in that case, 3 6s.
That's much better. So are you going to go for the same thing? You're going to go for another critical injury?
Yeah, I think I will. Roll 66, right?
Yeah, D66, and I'll roll for the guy's armor, which is also a dud.
I roll 14, which isn't great.
14. Oddly, though, the 22 was actually a good one because his fingers are broken. He gets -2 to ranged combat and melee combat, which is a pretty good thing to have penalized. But did you say 14 for this one?
Yeah.
You shoot one of the other Harlequins who's kind of struggling forward through the current of the river, and you're not sure how much. You're pretty sure you hit him. You're not sure how much he's wounded, but he kind of goes down into the river briefly, and then pulls himself up with a kind of a great spray of water, and starts kind of limping towards the shoreline. So clearly he's his ankle perhaps is twisted or something along those lines. And that's your entire turn because you took the aim shot, which is a slow action. And just so people, in case people are curious, every turn in Coriolis, you get 3 action points, essentially. And there's an action economy, and slow actions cost 3 points. So that's your entire turn. I am going to spend some darkness points. And I am going to spend, first off, I'm going to spend 1 darkness point on moving basically that first Harlequin, the one who you shot in the hand, is going to take his turn now instead. And he is going to try and pick up and shoot. And I believe picking his rifle back up again is going to be an kind of an action in and of itself. Yeah, I think that's going to be just a normal. I think he's going to have to take, realistically, he's going to have to take a quick shot, which will penalize him quite a lot. Oh, you can only do this to enemies within close or short range. Well, in that case, I think Luria is within short range. So he's going to fire off a shot at Luria. And their dice pool for ranged combat is it's 8, but he takes a 2 die penalty for the critical injury, which is pretty decent, and then an additional 2 die penalty for it being a quick shot. So that's pretty good. He does hit. Luria, are you wearing any armor?
I have my flight suit, which is an armor rating of 1.
Okay, well, give me that die roll of 1 then, please.
It's just a 1d6 in the situation, yeah?
Yeah, just 1d6, and if you roll a 6, it mitigates 1 point of damage.
Hello. Take 14 points of damage.
No, it's only they are also holding Vulcan carbines. So in that case, please take 2 points of take 2 hit points. So yeah, the Vulcan round, you know what I'm going to say, it doesn't even actually directly hit you. It impacts into the stone of the temple, and because they have these explosive rounds, kind of shards of stone spray out and kind of pepper one side of your thigh with kind of sharpened chunks of stone, which you feel kind of like just embedding into your flesh. It's not a horrible wound, but it probably hurts like hell. And with that in mind, it is now your turn.
Well, you just said that gentleman was within short range, which is coincidentally the range of my stunner.
Good stuff.
So I will take that out of its unused character creation packaging and take a shot with it. So I get a +1 bonus here. Oh, it actually gives me +1 to int, but I'm already top of the pile, so that doesn't matter. Okay, so what's the rule for these? Firearms, is it?
It's a good question. It'll be a ranged combat thing, yeah.
Which is just flat agility.
So yeah, it'll be flat agility. You're not kind of before you do this, I mean, do you want to move yourself into any cover, or like, are you using all your turn to make an aimed shot, or what are you doing?
I think I think cover's probably a good idea. I will try and get myself the rest of the distance to the pyramid without leaving that close range, if at all possible. Actually, do you know what? Depending, will I go past the range boundary if I make for cover? Because if I will, then I'm taking an aim shot.
No, I don't think you will. You said you were only going up 1 or 2 blocks on the pyramid, so I think it's absolutely fine. So you can basically kind of go round to where a corner of the pyramid is turning round for the north side, and kind of like take cover over there and do so. I think that's absolutely fine. So that'll be a normal, and you can do that with 1 movement point, I'd say. So you can make a normal shot, but you'll also be resting on cover. So you can take a +1 to.
So just to run the numbers for the viewers at home, that means my agility is at 4. I get a +1 bonus because I'm using my stunner, and I get a +1 bonus because I am resting the weapon, which gives me 6 dice. Here we go. 1 success.
There you go. You hit. I'm going to assume the damage on a stunner is stress damage or something like that.
No, if it crits, it stuns. Otherwise, it does 2 damage.
Okay, gotcha. Well then, I guess I need to roll his armor, which it does deflect slightly. Kind of the blast from your stunner. And hey, let's start. Unless it actually describes it in the book what that looks like, why don't we set some in-universe stunner stuff? I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big fan of the original stun effect in Star Wars: A New Hope, like the concentric rings. That thing. So why don't we, unless it describes it differently in the book, why don't we go with that? And there's like an earpiece, like a slight, almost like makes like a shrieking noise, right? And kind of this bright blast comes from it towards this guy, and you see some of it be there's like almost a shimmering effect where it deflects off the armor slightly. Not that the armor has done anything fancy; it's just kind of lamellar armor, but it's like literally reflecting the sound and the light from the stunner blast. And he does kind of reel backwards, blinking a bit slightly low. He's definitely not stunned, but you've done something to him, for sure. So I think that's your turn if you're making, because a normal shot is 2 action points, right? Just a regular one.
Yeah,
I think, yeah. So, and you used your other one in moving. So, yes. So. What I am going to do is I'm now going to spend another darkness point to move the next Harlequin up. I'm not going to do it with the other one the one who isn't limping through the river, the one who hasn't been shot at all yet. And he is going to take a couple of paces forwards, bring his rifle up, and fire a shot at the very well hidden Sadira. So it's going to be a tricksy shot for him, for sure. But I don't think he has any penalties. other than for range. So he has a pool of 8 and then an extra die for the carbine, which I forgot to take for the last guy. But then it's at long range. That's a -3, I think we said. So he's got these ones remaining here. And I think cover just works like armor. So I think it's just, again, like how much cover. Yeah, works identically to armor, but only against ranged attacks. I don't suppose anyone... where is cover in ranged combat? Because I just want to get a sense of like how much armor particular cover represents. Does anyone have any quick idea of where that might be? Oh, here we go. Cover. Here we go. Common covers. I mean, I think brick wall should cover it, right? That seems pretty solid. So he's going to roll to see if he hits at all. He does. That is a 3. 3 6s on that roll. But Mike, you get to roll 7 dice. And are you wearing any armor as well? You're on mute,
no armor. But
you get to roll
dice.
7 dice for the cover that you're in.
Okay, sixes. Yeah.
Each success you do cancels out one of his on the shot.
Okay, well, I rolled 3 successes.
That's exactly what you needed.
Nice.
Yeah, the shot from the Vulcan.
Wall.
Yes, the shot from the Vulcan like blows a chunk out of like that edge that you're resting your own carbine on, kind of in front of you, and it makes you like involuntarily react like an explosion, right, like a firework going off in your face. But you kind of blink through the rain that's dripping down over you, and that's like running over your hands and the bottoms of your or the tops of your legs, I suppose, as you're lying there. But you register that you don't think you've been hit, but it came very close. Hamza, we're with you.
Hello. So I only have the power glove by way of weaponry. This is not a terribly melee fight yet, so I've got 2 options. I think one is either stay up here in the room and try to sort of attack anything that makes it up this far, which feels a bit too much like not getting involved, to be honest. So I'm thinking I want to try and get to them, which means I have questions about the geometry of the pyramid. Like, how many steps are there between me and ground level? Can I reasonably drop from step to step in a way that tries to maintain cover?
I mean, you can, but that would be a very slow way to make your way down the pyramid.
It's that or sit here. So, like, I think I'm just gonna. I mean, I think I'm just gonna sort of like pretend like I'm a fish, really, and just like belly flop down these steps.
I'm gonna say that if you're making your way down the pyramid, what's your movement, by the way? Just so I know, I probably should have asked Chris that, but
I don't know how I calculate that.
It should be on your sheet already. We should have done it, I think. Or not? Oh, it's not on the sheet. That's odd, considering it's something the rules say to use every now and then. It definitely is in the character section for... that's a good point. Yeah, you should have rolled extra for being prone there as defense, Mike, but you didn't need it, so that's fine. It's definitely a calculated stat from something. Give me a second.
Movement rates, page 84.
Oh, really?
That's what some other page I said I found. Movement. Okay, I mean, essentially, if you're in difficult terrain or crawling or sneaking or in darkness, your movement rate is halved, is what it says.
That doesn't help us with what it was in the first place. Sprinting a short distance, your movement rate in meters. But where is your movement rate? Come on, book. Do better. I'm just going to index this. Okay, John says 10 meters seems the base.
Okay.
So, with that in mind, movement just says 84, yeah. Okay, well, I described this pyramid as, I believe, I'm not going to say what I believe it to be. I am instead going to list what I did describe it as 120 feet high, which is 40 meters high. And if your movement rate is 10 meters, I'd say that so it's a fast action to move 10 meters,
Okay.
right? But if you're making it cautiously and trying to stay in cover, I'm going to halve that.
5
So
meters.
I'd say you can make 15 meters in one turn if you're staying in
round.
cover, which means it's going to be probably around 3 full turns before you make your way to the bottom.
Let's do that. I have nothing else that can affect them from here.
Sure.
So long as I can kind of do it carefully and try to maintain cover as much as possible, then they might still be standing by the time I get to the bottom.
Sure. So yeah, you make your way. Let's just call it 3 turns, right? And let's just say you make your way you're about a third of the way down the pyramid now.
Okay.
So yeah, and then unsurprisingly, I'm going to spend another darkness point to make the limping dude is also going to fire, and he is going to fire again at Sadira. So that was a 9 pool in total, I think I said, -3 for the range. And it is just a 1 hit. So Mike, give us that roll for in cover again. And I believe John pointed out you also get a +1 for being prone. So that should be 8 dice.
1 success. I am doing the bare minimum.
The bare minimum that you require. Yeah, the round definitely doesn't go as near to you as the other one, but kind of you can hear like a crack of exploding stone behind you as these rounds are kind of like one by one making their way into your position. So exciting. Adam.
I'm going to turn and shoot at the probably at the one that is so far uninjured.
Sure. You, I believe, were kind of you're at the top. You're in the pyramid chamber, right?
Yeah.
Are you adopting a similar position to Sadira, right? You kind of flat along the step pyramid, looking down from where you are. Yeah. Good. In similar position then. And you're aiming at the one who has not so far been shot.
Yeah. How far away is he?
He's within 100 meters.
Okay. But not within 20.
No, definitely not.
Okay. This is going to be tough, but maybe doable.
And are you going to just do an aim shot and use your entire turn to...
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. So, with that in mind, that'll be your ranged combat pool. You get is yours also a Vulcan carbine, right?
Yep.
Everyone just has Vulcan carbines, yeah. So you get a +1 die from that as well. You get a +1 die from it being in cover. For steadying a weapon, but then you get a -3 dice for the range. So I think in total your modifiers are a -1.
Do I get anything for it being aimed as opposed to normal?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, of course, yeah. The aimed is also a +2. So in total, it's a +1 die to your ranged pool. I think that's right. So many modifiers.
Rolling 5 dice. I get 1 success. Nice.
Okay, let's see if his armor deflects that. His armor does not deflect that. So Vulcan carbines do 3 damage, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the round definitely impacts on him. He doesn't seem to show much of it, but you can see like a patch on his shoulder where his that armor, that kind of brightly painted armor, is sort of starting to smoke, essentially. So you've clearly hit him and done some damage. We move on to their round now, but they've all taken their action. So instead, I'm going to talk about what they're doing as they're moving their way forwards. As they're moving their way forwards, the ones of you who are probably closer can hear it better than the others. So Luia and now Hamza, I think, can hear like almost an odd... All 3 of them are talking to each other. They are talking quite loudly, and they are all talking in a language you do not understand, that has an odd, formal sing-song cadence to it. And it sounds like they are almost doing a kind of call and response thing between them. Not in like that one of them is saying something and then the others are repeating it. Not like a war cry. It doesn't seem like like a war cry or anything like that at all. They seem like they are maybe saying almost lines from something. One of them speaks and the other one responds, and it's almost like the sing-song tone of their voices don't make it seem like they're fighting in any way. It makes it seem like a performance of some kind. And you know what? Why don't all of you give me a culture roll if you have culture, because it is an advanced skill. Yeah. Is it just... It's Chris and someone else.
I got a success.
You got a success. Does someone else have culture?
I have culture.
How'd you do?
I got 1 success.
Okay. Both of you have heard things like this before, especially within sort of very old first-comer enclaves, where maybe some languages are preserved from back in the dawn of history, back on Al-Ada, the world, the almost mythological world where humanity came from. And you don't know this language and you haven't seen this precise thing before, but it's the kind of thing you see in theatrical performances, where kind of formalized stories that have been handed down over generations are told. It's definitely not something that's usually done mid-firefight, but they seem to be kind of performing roles and reading lines of some kind. You have no idea, and it's entirely up to you exactly how you react to this, if at all, in the moment, obviously. But yeah, let's roll ourselves back round to the beginning of that initiative order. And
yeah, I was going to say, we're going to perform some rolls now, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Content.
Sure. Yeah, why don't we... Yeah, sure. No, Sadira, go ahead. Go ahead with your thing.
Okay, I think I'll take a shot at the person who's furthest away.
Sure, the guy who's just...
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
The guy was just shot by Adam. Yeah. The one who was uncritical injured in any way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Apologies for the noise, folks. My cat is choosing this moment to go into the litter tray, which is exciting. But go ahead and make your roll. I think you probably are familiar with the modifiers by now.
Yeah, I got 1 success.
1 success. Which is not deflected by his armor. So that's 3 damage. Yeah, the guy at the back, the one who was kind of uninjured and has that kind of smoking crater in his armor on the shoulder, is kind of like making his way forward and reels round again, another smoking hole blasted in his torso. And he's looking definitely the worse for wear now. He's kind of like stumbling forward, desperately trying to get into cover at the base of the pyramid. So yes, why don't we? Thank you so much for this, Jinx. I don't want to. I don't want to use the same darkness points every turn, so we're not going to just use them the same way this turn. So, Livia, why don't you go ahead?
Well, I think I'm going to take another shot with the stunner from my cover position.
Sure, absolutely.
Which is that pool of 5 dice.
Who are you shooting at, by the way?
The closest target, I think, which doesn't make much of a difference.
That will be the one who you think may be the second in command, I think, who's already taken a couple of blasts, including your last stunner shot.
So here goes. 1 success.
Ah, remarkable. Well, I'm going to spend 3 darkness points to make that not happen, and your stunner is jammed.
Oof.
It's going to require a slow action with a roll for technology to fix it.
That'll be my next turn, so...
So no concentric rings, and it gives a kind of like noise instead of actually kind of firing. It's a sad
very
stunner.
70s sad noise, I hope.
It's a very sad 70s stunner. Yeah. There we go. You didn't mention that being an aim. Was that an aim shot? How many were you doing an aimed shot for that?
I only rolled my 5 dice, so I assume.
Well, then no. Then you still have an action point left, my friend.
Well, I think having seen the demise of my weapon, I will push myself out of line of sight if I can.
So
just
try
move
and
further into cover.
punch completely behind the cover while
Yeah.
you tinker with
Tend
this
to
thing.
my weapon.
That seems like a good shout. So Hamza, I'm assuming your action remains pretty much the same.
I continue to slither down the pyramid.
Continuing to slither. Absolutely. So you're probably about 2/3 of the way down the pyramid now. For comparison's sake, you're probably around where Luir is, but he's now tucked around by the side, but you're on roughly the same level as them. So yeah, so within short range. Not that that helps with your,
Not
pneumatic
short enough.
pneumatic glove O'Doom. So there we go. Adam, you're up next.
I'm going to take another shot at the one I shot before, trying to finish him off, hopefully.
Sure. What's your personal problem, Adam?
It's that I'm being chased by zealots.
No, that doesn't make any sense. Okay.
Please don't send a bunch of zealots into this fight, Matt.
Zealots arrive. No, you know what? So, sorry, what did you say you were going to do? You did say.
I'm going to take an aimed shot at the guy I shot before, the one who I think now has been shot a couple of times and is looking quite bad.
Sure, like that second in command one, that guy, right?
I don't think it. I think it was the different. The guy I shot last time.
Oh no, the guy. Yeah, sorry, the guy at the back. Yeah, the guy. Yeah, sorry, I am trying to double task it. John, a task for you, friend. I have a listing on my darkness point spending of a dark mind. A PC is suddenly stricken with a temporary dark madness. More details in chapter 14. Costs 1 to 3 darkness points. I'd like you to find those rules for me in chapter 14, which appears to be a bestiary. So I really don't know why it's in there, but if you can have a look for me. Chapter 14 starts on page something, 316, around there. And if you could look through there for me, thank you, John. So sorry, yes. Aim shot, that guy at the back, go.
Okay. This is, I think, the end result of the previous dice pool discussion was it's a +1 to my
I
total.
believe that was the case, yes.
So I'm rolling 5 dice. I got no successes.
Do you want to pray to the icons? Give me a lovely little darkness point.
Yeah. Why not? It's not
Why
like
not,
you're
eh?
using them to make me insane or anything like that. That would
No, that would be bizarre behavior.
I got 2 successes this time.
Okay. And do you want to what are you spending that extra one on?
Probably an extra damage.
Extra damage?
Yeah, that seems good.
Fair enough. I'm happy with that. Especially since you didn't need it. But then I don't think it affects anything. I think you can bump yourself up in the initiative order, but too late. So yeah, you take careful aim and you see kind of the explosion of the Vulcan round slamming into that guy, and he kind of spins around on his feet and kind of falls still to the ground with the rain beating down on him. He is not moving. And in better news, John has told me to try page 337. So 337. Ooh.
Oh no.
At the cost of 1 darkness point. Why does it say it costs between 1 and 3 darkness points then? That's really odd. Okay, but yeah, sure. This seems pretty useful. Yeah, sure. This seems good. Yeah. Oh, I like this. So,
Oh god.
I am going to inflict you with a mania, Adam. There are many forms of manias. They can hit suddenly and unexpectedly after long voyages through the big black and portal jumps, or after seeing maimed bodies or the murder of one's friends or loved ones. Well, these aren't your friends or loved ones, but this is a lot of violence. And I'd say that the last violence you saw probably was on your home planet and was maybe attempting to be directed at you. and your companion Sadira, and therefore I think that a mania overtakes you. Would you like to roll a d6, please? And apparently this cost me 1 darkness point, but like the actual thing said it cost between 1 to 3 darkness points, so I don't know how that works. But let's just do it like this. I'm going to split the difference and go that it cost me 2, because it seems a lot for... you got a 2.
3, sorry.
You got a 3. Okay. It also doesn't say how long it lasts. Both diseases and mind memes work like poison. Okay. In chapter 6, John, can you then look up chapter 6 and see how poison works, specifically when it wears off, because presumably it's the same thing, if that's okay. Thank you. It says it's in chapter 6. In any case, you have a mania called melancholy. You feel that there is no point to existence, becoming fearless as you have nothing to lose by dying. So you can play that however you want, but you don't have to maybe strictly play it as melancholy or whatever, but like that's the gist of it, right? You are now right now fearless and have nothing to lose by dying. So act that out in whatever way you want. But obviously you've taken all your turn and we're back to the Harlequins. There's only 2 of them left. So one of them, the leader of them, is going to carry on firing at the person who seems responsible for most of his misfortune, which is Sadira. And I believe I said that their rolls are on 6s. Yeah, so I'm going to roll that. And you know what? Ooh, that's a 3. And you know what? I'm going to spend some darkness points on getting a praying style reroll as well, because I think you guys have been getting away with a lot in this fight, and I don't like this massive amount of cover you've got. Mike's just looking so hurt by this action. Well, that didn't avail him of any more successes anyway, so there we go. So first off, Mike, why don't you give me those 8 dice to try and reduce this. All drunk and find and poison. That doesn't help us, really, does it? It doesn't seem to match. That's fine. Let's just say this runs till the end of the scene. How about that? We'll just say that and we'll check it up for next time. How'd you do on that cover roll, Mike? 1 success. So I hurt you. Let's look at what he's going to spend that extra 1 die on there. Fortunately, hey, that doesn't leave him with enough for a critical injury, right? So that is something to be grateful for, as I'm sure you are. Have you got? You haven't got any armor on. Let's say, yeah. Let's say. So I'm not going to increase the damage. So you take 3 damage, 3 hit points from the shot, and I'm going to say you are disarmed. And the round kind of impacts on your forearm where you're holding the rifle over the kind of that edge of the step of the pyramid, and you kind of obviously react. The pain hits you immediately, and you kind of roll backwards, and the carbine just starts going skittering down the pyramid ahead of you. So without kind of not within easy reach of reclaiming, and you are kind of presumably grasping at your wounded, kind of blackened forearm as it's damaged by the Vulcan shot. Yeah. Anything to add to that, Mike?
Ouch. My arm, my pride.
Oh my God.
I do like to think that Sadira goes, ouch, really loudly.
I think there might be a loud expletive being yelled, actually, from somewhere up the pyramid.
I think that seems perfectly reasonable. So we will go to the other Harlequin, who is that Harlequin as well. Both of the Harlequins are now at the foot of the pyramid and are like aiming up and over. So they are now in cover and gaining kind of bonuses from from that aspect of it as well. And you know what? The other one is going to shoot at this guy rolling down the pyramid, because I think that's a valid thing to do. So it's going to be a base. We said that Levere is within short range, so I don't take the -3. So that's that, and also gets an extra 1 for being able to rest their rifle now, but then modified by that. So many dice. So many dice, and yet, oh, good. The cat's back in the litter. But I'm going to spend a darkness point to re-roll them all, because you've been giving me darkness points for 6 sessions now, guys.
I feel like we're at least achieving a sort of darkness point catharsis. Like, it's good to get it all out.
Got to measure them.
Survive this,
and that is 3 successes.
I take it back.
I'm going to say, Hamza, that like with the fact that you're moving around, I'm going to say that the cover is somewhat benign. Like, it's not as much cover as Sadira and Adam are in, because that would seem odd because you are moving, So I'm going to knock it down from 7 to 5, I think. So can you give me the roll of 5 dice for armor or cover?
Don't forget your armor as well, though. Oh, that's just mitigation.
Oh, and also, if you're wearing
I'm wearing
armor,
light armor, which John tells me is 4.
Yeah, so add those dice to it as well.
Okay, so
That's
9 dice in total.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do 5.
Cats.
Great. That is a single solitary 6.
Okay. Well then, I am going to spend. I'll just spend the extra damage, I think. So with that in mind, take 4 hit points of damage as an explosive Vulcan round hits you. Let's say on your hip, as you're kind of like, scrambling downwards to get out, and you kind of feel, you're, I think, of a roughly similar age to me, Stephen. You know how you feel sometimes when you just stand up a bit too fast. And something just feels like it's sliding.
I know that all too well.
Yeah, away from you, and it's that unpleasant feeling combined with the burn and the impact pain, and the smell of your own flesh roasting slightly, and then being nicely cooled by the rain.
Gives with one hand, takes with the other.
I know precisely the feeling that you're trying to describe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put sore hip on my character card.
Yeah, achy when it rains. Ironically, yeah. Okay, so those are the Harlequins. Let's hop back round to the beginning of the initiative order. If only I was even out of darkness points, friends. What's
the tally?
I've got 5 left.
Oh, okay. That's actually a pretty good outcome. Now, please don't use all 5 of those on me in this turn.
I'm going to inflict 5 manias on Sadira. What are you doing, Sadira? Your carbine is out of reach.
Sadira is going to yell "fuck" and scramble down the pyramid.
Just try and get to it.
Yeah.
Desperately try and get to it. Well, you know what? I'm going to say you can get to it this round, but I'm going to ask you for a roll to see how many action points it takes up before you can do that. So why don't you give me a dexterity roll, please? And I think this might hurt you to do it or get reduced.
It's a -2. Okay. So dexterity is 5, so I'll have 3 dice to roll.
Sure. And basically, for every success you do, I will remove an action point it takes to get to it from a total of 3 action points. So...
Well, that is irrelevant because I rolled 0 6s.
Okay. So the result of that is you go scrambling down the edge of the pyramid and you do get your hands on the carbine, but it takes you kind of long enough that you can't do anything else this round, but you do have the carbine, held. And I'm going to say you're probably in a similar cover situation to how Hamza was last turn. You're not completely exposed, but neither are you like nicely prone and hidden. So there we go. Luria, I'm assuming what you're doing is trying to unstun this stunner.
Yeah, I will take my technology roll, I believe.
Yeah, and that's a slow action, unfortunately, so it's just going to take up your entire turn.
and you're not applying any more malices to me.
Nah.
I'm a monster. I'm not that kind of a monster.
No.
Well, it's irrelevant because I rolled 0 successes.
That sounds like you're giving me a darkness point.
Does it, though? Does it for the sake of 2 damage? For the sake of having the non-combat character out of combat for another term? Do you know what? I think I'm going to break the cycle of addiction and say no.
All right, fair enough. All right, so yeah, you try and unscramble this stunner, but it's maybe the rain has got in it because it's definitely seems pretty damn balked for now. Hamza.
Hi.
You know what? I'm going to give you a chance to do more than just scramble down the pyramid this turn.
I was going to ask what would be possible, assuming that the cover's blown, they've seen me, they're shooting at me. Like, what does some kind of power fist leap of faith?
Yeah, sure.
Flying melee attack look like?
I'm going to say that you can, you know what? Give me a dexterity roll
with broken ribs. Sure.
But if you make 1 success on it, I'll give you 2 actions to play with rather than 1 after you've scrambled off the bottom of the pyramid.
That is no successes. So I assume that's a lead followed by it.
It's up to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to unbreak the cycle of addiction.
Oh, my good work.
Okay, let's see what we get.
Telling Tales, re-establishing the cycle of addiction since 2021.
The cycle of addiction should have remained broken. I got nothing.
Oh, my goodness.
Enjoy your darkness point.
I will.
Stephen, are you using 5-sided dice?
Lovely stuff. So you have 1 action point left at the end of it, and I'll say I'm happy for you to be flush with one, like within attack range of one of these guys, right? So you can do a quick melee attack. Pardon me, for 1 action point. So, do you want to be attacking the guy who seemed like the second in command, or the other one?
Are they both
the one kind
within
of
melee range?
Yeah, depending on which way you go. I think they're kind of separated out from each other at the bottom of the pyramid. But you can head in one direction. You know?
I think I've only been dimly aware of who's been getting shot how as I've been sort of belly flopping down the pyramid. So, who is on my right? Because that's where the power glove is.
In my head, on your right is the guy who the non-second in command, the guy who kind of limped his way through the river.
That one, I will try some kind of quick melee attack.
Sure. So if it's a fast action, it's a -2 modifier to the attack roll, but obviously add any modifier that the actual glove, the kind of power fist has with it.
Yep.
Which I think it probably will have at least 1.
So let's see. Strength plus melee plus power glove -2. Which comes to 4 dice. Which gets me a 6. 1 6.
There we go. And what is the damage on the power glove?
2.
Equal to his armor that he just rolled. So you kind of dive towards the guy and he rears back from you and maybe rears back a bit too quickly as your power glove kind of impacts center mass to knock him back, and it just literally knocks him back a step. He takes like a step back and you feel like the bodysuit of armor underneath the glove kind of take that impact and just kind of buckle slightly around it and then form back into shape. So he doesn't seem to be particularly affected by what you've done, other than the fact you definitely have his attention now.
This is now a melee combat.
Yes, absolutely. So Adam, recently unafraid of death, Adam.
Yeah, just how Adam likes to be. I think Adam has reached some point in his mind. He's sick of the constant fleeing danger. Feels like a cycle that will never end. And he's just going to stand up and start walking down the pyramid while shooting in an effort to get a bit closer and shoot these guys more quickly. It's just a bit of anger mixed with the melancholy, I think.
Sure. So kind of moving and firing, right? So what kind of mix of the two are we doing? So are we like what level of what level of shot are we taking? Do we think we're taking a normal shot or a quick shot? Clearly not an aim shot if we're moving at the same time.
Probably a normal shot. I don't think I'd be like dashing down.
Yeah, you're just kind of walking down, kind of
yeah,
sort of firing at them. Yeah, sure. First off, who are you firing at? Are you firing at the second in command or the one who's now kind of engaged with Hamza? I'm not sure if there's any malice to shooting into melee combat, but I can definitely improvise a darkness point spell for that.
Yeah, I would avoid that if possible and shoot the second in command one.
Shoot the second in command guy, sure. Well, if you're moving, so you're using one movement point to move, so that's 10 meters, and we said that it was, I think we said it's, well, Hamza was moving at half rate, and it took him 3 turns. Oh, this is like an A-level question. So, so if it's 10 meters, you're moving about 30 feet per turn, right? And I think I said that the height of the pyramid was 120 feet. So you're about a quarter of the way down the pyramid with your movement. So I don't think that you are out of long range. That's all I was trying to calculate there. Okay. So why don't you make the shot on the second in command? You don't get the bonus for being prone, unlike for resting in cover. You don't, but you get the bonus for the weapon, but also a malice of -3 for the range. So
yeah, I think I'm now at a minus.
Total, right?
I think I'm now at a -2 from my normal.
I think that's right. Yes,
which is not a very good roll, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I do not succeed.
Are we going back to the cycle of addiction?
I'm not in a fit state of mind to be praying to the icons at this point. I'm just walking and shooting.
You know what, folks?
Roleplay.
That's good roleplay right there.
That's good roleplay right there. That is good roleplay right there.
Lovely. Love it. So, fair enough. Let's move back to the Harlequins again then, and let's take on the one who's fighting Hamza, who is going to drop his rifle, or at least sling his rifle. He's going to draw a Dura knife, and he's going to just try and stab the hell out of Hamza. I'd say that's like a quick melee attack. So let's go with that. What does melee attack come under? Is it agility or strength? Do we know?
It's melee combat is a strength skill.
Strength. Okay. So that's there, and then melee combat is that. And on top of that, we have the stat for the knife itself, which is just flat 0. So, yeah. Nice and easy. So he got 1 success. So why don't you go ahead and give me your armor roll? Yeah, John says he can't see anything about shooting into melee. I didn't think there was. But it's a nice opportunity if someone misses to spend a darkness point, right? Seems like to me.
I mean, Hamza would probably soak it up. I got 2 successes. 2
successes. Well, those successes mean that basically he kind of comes at you and slashes with the knife, and it doesn't break the surface of the armor in any way, but he's kind of like edging his way forward. He's still doing that odd kind of like lilting call and response with the other guy, although they seem definitely a bit flustered now with it. You get the impression they definitely didn't expect this level of resistance. But and kind of, you can almost see perhaps like one side of the mask is now kind of like sagging and all kind of interfering with his vision but he's too busy defending against you to try and kind of like put it back into place, and the water is kind of like running off it, and in the odd light as the light is kind of moving towards the blue sun again, and like there's an odd blue wash over this water coming over his face, and it almost feels like a dreamlike circumstance with the movement of the water over his face is making the grotesque features look like they're real, like they're moving slightly, even though you know it's just a mask. And you know what, Hamza? Having a grotesque, monstrous appearance leering at you through the blue light of this sun makes it feel like now Hamza has a personal problem, doesn't he?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, in that he is sort of afflicted with a bit of the old cosmic horror heebie-jeebies.
Yeah,
about...
he's seen the darkness between the stars, and he's terrified of space, which is...
Sure. So I'm going to spend a darkness point, ironically the one you gave me from going back into the cycle of addiction.
I've only got myself to blame.
I'm going to spend that, and I'm going to say that it's your choice. Either you're going to try and disengage from this guy, or it's going to drive you into a kind of fury of self-preservation, and you're going to take, shall we say, 2 dice penalty from attacking him. Like, when you try and attack him again, I'm just going to put a 2 die penalty on it. How about that? It's up to you. Do you want, fight or flight?
I think when actually confronted with that at close range, I suspect that Hamza's instinct would be to lash out. So I think I would probably take the penalty and try
take the penalty. Anyway. Cool. It's only going to apply for this turn, but
okay.
For this turn coming, I'm going to say that. And then the second command is still free and out there, and is probably going to shoot at Adam, I think, who's walking down the pyramid. Would you say screaming at the top of your lungs, or just kind of calmly?
I think probably outwardly calm, at least, since there's an element of melancholy to it.
Sure. So let's have a look at the total number of dice there that they now have. So that's their dice total. They'll gain an extra 1 from the cover. They'll take a -3 from the range, and I think that's it. And that's 2 successes. Are you wearing any armor?
I do have protective clothing, which is 3.
Give me the roll for that. It's not bad. It's pretty good. It's the same as this.
I got no successes.
Okay.
This is going to be bad.
That's less good.
Yeah.
In that case, I'm going to spend the extra die on raising initiative. So, John, can you amend the initiative and just put like Harlequin number 1 on 4 and Harlequin number 2 on 2? And that'll do. And we'll remember what that is. Is that okay? Thank you. But other than that, you are struck by a Vulcan round, though you probably don't register it very much in your current state, and that will give you 3 hit points worth of damage.
I've taken 4 out of 5 damage.
Rough. Yeah. So you're kind of stumbling down these steps now, but fortunately you don't care if you live or die, so it's all good, isn't it?
Great.
It's all good. Right, back round to the beginning, and we're going to make this the last round no matter what, guys, because I'm fully aware of how long this combat is going. It's all right. It is quite satisfying narrative combat, I think, but it's also it takes a while, right? Like a lot of stuff. So let's go with Sadira. You now have, you've got the gun again. I'd say you're now within short range, so you can start blasting.
Okay, well, I'll go for the one who's not in sort of melee combat. I guess, which is the one that Adam just went for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you put yourself, I'd say you can be prone again and firing. So you can take your ranged combat with just a flat +1, I think. Like no penalty for range this time. So
yeah. So
sorry. And if you're doing an aimed shot, then you get it's your ranged pool +3.
And it would be. So I've got 3 successes there.
Nice. What are you going to spend those on?
This guy's pretty injured already, right? Could I just?
He's pretty injured. he's pretty injured already. I'll suggest right now you might want to spend some on damage.
Yeah, I think I'll just load it all up on damage. Let's just take him down.
Absolutely, that's good. You can hear behind you, kind of like you can hear Adam, kind of like walking down you saw him out of the corner of your eye, just walking down the steps, kind of like, slightly uncharacteristically for him, kind of boldly just firing in the open. This guy, you kind of register him being hit. And you hear kind of like a grunt of pain over from him, and you're not, you're unaware of the state of how he is. But I think this would motivate you to a certain degree. Perhaps you take in a breath, steady your aim, and pull the trigger. The second in command, Harlequin's, just his neck just snaps back hard, and he reels back up again, kind of trying to bring his carbine to bear. And then you notice the kind of smoking, exploded hole in the forehead of the mask, and he kind of brings the gun around to bear, and then just stumbles back a couple of steps, tumbles over fully into the grass. You very much doubt he is, he's dead. You just killed the man.
As a free action as well, is it possible just to call out Adam's name?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just try and get him to like snap out of whatever it is that he's doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go for it. Does Adam respond to this in any way?
I think probably not. This is.
You know what? Is there a There's definitely a role you can make to snap people out of like the stress condition, right? Is that command or something? Yeah, command. Have you got command? It's an advanced skill. You're on mute, by the way.
I don't have it.
No. Then we'll say it doesn't like actually we can't try and have it have an impact, but yeah. No response from Adam, evidently. Luria, what are you doing?
It's going to be another technology roll, I suppose.
I would say you're close enough to the melee between Hamza and this Harlequin that you could move there, and because you're kind of round the corner on the end that they are. And I'd say you can move there and try and do something if you wanted. Like you could.
Can I have his gun? Because you kind of said he dropped it and slung it. So if he slung it, then
slung
probably
it. It's
not.
like down. It's like hanging over his shoulder. It's slung at his side. I'd say. But you can just try and tackle him, or like, leap on the back.
I am like
sleeper hold.
5 stone heavy. But do you know what? I will.
Being hit in the back with even a small human while you're trying to fight someone is probably quite distracting.
Yeah, I will try and encourage him to fall over, given the footing is already probably pretty awful in this near the semi-river.
Absolutely. Why don't you give me a force? Your choice of a force or a melee combat roll, which I imagine is going to be the same thing, and is just going to be your strength.
It is exactly going to be my strength.
But why don't you give that roll for me? And I'm going to, you know what? I think this is a surprise thing. So I'm going to give you a +2 on the roll as well. So take another 2 extra dice, because he's not expecting someone to just barrel into him full force from behind.
Here we go. 0 successes.
Do we want to pray to the icons?
I don't think it's appropriate to try and this small, lightly set person is probably going to come up against these trained professional performers and just bounce off them, in fairness.
Sure, fair enough. Then Lavia just appears like, you scramble down the pyramid, maybe trip slightly as you're coming, and you do make contact with the guy. You try and grab him and pull him down, but you just go spinning off into the wet grass. Kind of like desperately trying to like get your footing back under this mud. Hamza, your turn.
Yeah.
Smashy.
Yeah, I'm fully committed to punching this guy in his weird
face,
horror void face.
Yeah. So with melee combat, there's no kind of aimed attack equivalent. But what you can do is you can do a normal attack and then do a quick attack, I guess.
Sure.
Melee combat should be defending against melee is a maybe we've been doing the melee combat slightly wrong. What is defending in close combat? Okay, yeah, sure. Sorry.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything more. I mean, if there was some enormous kind of punch that would take the whole round and would leave me nothing left for defense, I would absolutely take that at this point. But I think
sadly, I do not think that's the case.
Okay,
so just a normal attack first, then.
Strength plus melee plus power glove minus infinite terror is 5 dice.
And he's going to use up one of his action points to try and defend against this.
Sure. I get 2 successes.
He gets no successes, so you can spend those successes however you want. How much damage did you say the power glove does?
2.
2. I would. I would advise spending that on damage.
I think it's just full damage, just in the face.
Sure. He kind of tries to bob and weave around you, but perhaps what Laria did something, because he seems he slips slightly and he's kind of off his balance. You duck underneath and just cold cock him right in the face with the power glove, and he just drops, just goes down. You don't think he's dead, but he's going to wake up with a hell of a headache.
I'm likely to continue attacking until there is no face left at this point, or until somebody can remove me from him. I'm going to use a free action to scream also loudly, wordlessly. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So the combat is over. We can remove the initiative. Thank you, John. 2 of the Harlequins are dead on the ground. One of them is going to be dead unless someone stops Hamza from doing what he's doing. Maybe no one wants to. And I think we can consider your patch of mania done with, Sam. And as this is happening, you there is the noise nearby of a sort of faint whirring, which quickly coalesces itself into the sound of a starcraft kind of starting to make a descent onto the pyramid. Not onto the pyramid, near the pyramid, near where you are, is what I'm saying.
Controlled descent, or does it sound like it's going to be having trouble?
Yeah, controlled descent. You know what? Actually, let's say it's not a starcraft. Let's say it's because I just realized why it would not be a starcraft. Let's say it's just a ground air vehicle, like a hovercopter thing.
I will. Who is this now in my moment of platitude to bring me more people to kill?
It's gently touching down quite near you, and now the blue sun is up entirely, and the entire landscape is just this blue washed nightmare of water and the pyramid, and kind of like this oddly, your eyes are almost playing tricks on you now, because just the color of the sun and the rain is producing a very confusing visual effect for you all. And the whatever kind of ground to air vehicle it is, it has kind of red and yellow lights along the top of it, and they're flashing, and it's quite disorienting. A hatch opens on the side of it, and a human figure kind of leans out, and a voice cries out over the rain, a familiar voice to you, Chris, a woman's voice saying, "What the hell's been happening?"
I'll kind of trudge over. Are you friend or foe? We've had enough of the latter.
Who do you think? Get the hell in. Who are they?
Circus performers with attitude problems. My comrades, I believe this is the rescue we ordered and not the one which was initially delivered. Shall we get to dryness?
Look, I pulled some fucking strings to get us to leave as soon as you sent out a distress call. Get in, or I'm leaving you here for good.
Come. What else have we to lose?
I'm sprinting towards the hovercraft.
Sure, absolutely.
I think I'm too tired to punch down another spaceship. So
absolutely. You pile yourselves into the rescue, the Arca rescue craft. It takes off with kind of a soft hum, and kind of you feel again what all of you, perhaps mostly Laria, worried you might never feel again. That's just kind of slight lift of gravity being removed from you as you roar up from the ground. The rain still pouring down around you, kind of every now and then the landscape underneath you, because it's quite dim under the blue sun, but it's illuminated sporadically by the cracks of lightning that you can see kind of on the horizon and occasionally closer. And you just, anyone who's still looking out of the windows can just glance down and see the savannah rolling past underneath you, and slowly drifting into the distance, the dark form of the mysterious pyramid. And that is the end of An Abyss Midmost, our Coriolis series. Thank you so much, folks. A little bit of a late finish there, but thank you for bearing with us. I'll do some quick promo, but if you've got any questions or comments, please throw them into the chat and John will pop them up for us to discuss. So there's a bunch of links down below, Twitch and YouTube. Check out one or the other if you haven't, and give us a follow, a subscribe, that kind of thing. We do very much appreciate it. There's links to our social media, links to our Discord where you can join up and talk to us about all things role-playing, all things telling tales, links to our Patreon where you can support us in return for lovely goodies. We run 3 weekly series, each of them starting at 8 o'clock in the evening BST. Mondays is Call of Cthulhu, Tuesdays is Blades in the Dark, Wednesdays was Coriolis, folks, because next week we will be diving back into our flagship series of Symbaroum and into, finally, the beginning of the Throne of Thorns campaign. Get excited, folks. We also run one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. There's a bunch of VODs of those over on YouTube. That means that the next one is on the Saturday, 7th of August, which is a week this Saturday. I'll be running One Ring here on the channel. Come join us. It'll be a lot of fun. We also run a fortnightly series of Symbaroum over on the Free League Twitch. That's on every other Sunday, and that includes this coming Sunday. So check us out there if you haven't already. That's all of my stuff. Thank you to the players. Thank you to John. Thank you to you for watching. Have we got any comments or questions in the chat? Don't forget to turn the transponder off. Too late.
Not my pay grade, not my problem.
Arca will know it's there very shortly, unless you're not telling them for some reason.
Well, they're going to find out one way or another, aren't they?
Yeah, they can just send another one of these craft back to get it, right? Because it doesn't seem to affect these craft. So it's fine. It's fine. Where's your spaceship? Yeah, right. Yeah, it just didn't really work out with the pacing and the way we went with things. But you know what? All those spaceships are still there. If we ever revisit Coriolis, we can go. We can build our own spaceship from those wreckage, right? If the Arca people decide that they'll allow you the salvage rights on it or something, we'll do something like that. But yes, quite rightly, Mike says, where is the spacecraft?
It's not out of the question that we might still want to try and kill the Arca people and find ourselves back on the planet.
Sure, slaughter the lot of them. If
it's only a small
archaeologists who rescued you.
If it's only a small research site, then you don't have to kill too many people to have killed like an entire planet's worth of adversaries.
Yeah,
that sounds doable.
That's a notch on the
telling you,
benchmark.
I used to be an archaeologist. Dangerous when cornered. That's all I'm saying. Trench warfare, right?
I think Matt needs another holiday.
From Steve, how did everyone find Coriolis? Any future adventures for those characters? I'll let these folks talk about how they found Coriolis first.
I'm looking forward to the follow-on series, which is like a 6-month maritime courtroom drama where we try and not get fingered for the destruction of the ship and trespassing.
I'd love to do a maritime court drama, if only because it would continue the fine telling tales tradition of making constant Arrested Development references by singing "You're a Crook, Captain Hook" and things like that. Coriolis, what do people think?
I very much like the dice system. I know the sixes aren't very fair, but I think probabilistically it's kind of success and failure aren't kind of on a scale. It's either one success achieves a task and no successes does not, rather than I need 6 successes to succeed. And that's something I've not had any experience with before, I think.
I just appreciate there not being like a lower level of failure as well. Like that really does appeal to me.
That helps you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no fumbles or anything like that. Yeah.
I think it
like,
feels a little clunky.
I mean, it is the Euro Zero system, but it's also probably the clunkiest implementation of the Euro Zero system because I think it's one of the older ones.
Yeah.
But like, I like the Euro Zero system because it's very, other than the fact you got to do stuff with modifiers, which again doesn't really happen in the ones later than Coriolis. It's very quick to see if you've succeeded, and very, it's very roll. Yeah, I've succeeded. It's very quick, and it's quite satisfying to spend the extra dice on stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
I think I liked it a lot. I like the darkness point system, even though, like, as you said before, Matt, like, you as the game master, you can kind of just decide that bad things happen whenever you want.
I'm not keen. It's not specifically the darkness system in this game. I don't like that kind of thing in any game because, as you say, if I want, like, some of it is like, oh, you can spend money on reinforcements arriving for bad guys, and it's like, if I want reinforcements to arrive, they'll just arrive. Like,
yeah, it kind of it also it draws up the battle lines and it turns it into a player versus GM.
And
you don't really want the games to be like that if you're focusing on narrative, which is what we do here at tellingtales.twitch.tv.
I mean, I guess I like it. I like the edge that it sort of gives things where, like, you pray to the icons, or you kind of you're invoking some kind of mystical power or kind of higher thing, and that comes associated with this sort of amorphous risk and darkness. I kind of like that thematically, but I think it quite quickly runs mechanically into what it allows you as the GM to do or not do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like anything, basically, anything, any game that's like, oh, the storyteller can use this to gain storyteller fiat is like, I have storyteller fiat. I don't need it. I can just, that's kind of the whole point of my role to a certain degree. Like, so I'm not a huge fan. I did. What do we think of the setting? Like, I'm not sure how much we brought across the setting. I think we had some. We did it pretty successfully in the first session. I think we brought a lot of, like, the ideas and, like, Coriolis and the Third Horizon, the icons, this kind of thing. And I think we brought it up at various points, but it's difficult to do that without having cultural settings. Like, as soon as you impact in the middle of the wilderness, it's like, it could be any sci-fi setting to a certain degree, But how did you guys get a feel for it? Did you?
I think it definitely kind of made the kind of, like, character creation process, like, a really involved one for me. Like, I was totally into the setting when I was, like, reading about it and coming up with character ideas and stuff like that. Like, I really liked it, and we didn't really get to, as you say, do much of that, like, on this godforsaken planet, but, like, it was fun while we did have to do some of that in the first session.
So what I'm hearing, Mike, is that you were really excited about it, and then I just fucked it.
I mean, I'll throw a vote on that pile.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel the same way about the setting as Chris feels about the lack of space adventuring that we did.
Sure, yeah.
I will say that, like, I think one of the problems with these kind of, like, multi-planetary scale role-playing games is that you've still got to pack all this stuff into, like, 500 pages of A4 paper, and, like, for Symbaroum, you've got that for, like, 300-400 square kilometers.
Yeah.
And in Coriolis, you've got that to cover 20-30 planets.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things, like, and I do think sorry, has anyone else got anything else to say about setting or anything like that?
I was going to repeat something that I sort of mentioned backstage before we started tonight, which was that unlike games like Firefly or like The Expanse or those kind of settings which are very kind of space oriented, it does feel like reading Coriolis. You could have an entire game set on the space station itself. You could have a game in a various different types of spaceship on various planets doing diplomacy or archaeology, or like it's a very, very broad setting. So exactly what you choose for an adventure in that.
Yeah. And you can like use any of those tools to evoke the setting and the world and kind of bring that across. Yeah, I definitely agree. Anything from you, Samuel?
I really like the setting. I do agree that it's like it covers such a large amount of stuff, and like to a certain extent that's good because it gives you a lot of opportunities of ideas, inspiration, and places to base the game in. But at the same, like I did find reading the book, it was a bit like I'd kind of read chunks of it and not really understand a lot of the references without having like I'd have to like go and like back and forth in the book a lot. Whereas the Symbaroum setting is like you just read it front to back and you pretty much have it. Whereas this I would like read about the certain like factions and that they control certain planets, and I'd be like, where's that planet? What does that have to do with anything? And like
I think like part of that is like what Chris was talking about, like the expansive nature of a sci-fi setting, but also I think Coriolis to a certain degree just leaves a lot open. For you. I mean Symbaroum does in a way as well, but so two things before we leave. First off, if people do want to see more Coriolis, please do speak up. Whether that's if you're on a Discord, shout about it there, or if you are watching this on a YouTube VOD, leave us comments down below, because the chances of something that's like a little one-off series coming back are very heavily weighted by how many people want it to come back in any way, shape, or form, whether it's as a one-shot or another limited series or whatever. But do let us know if you've loved Coriolis and you want to see more. The other thing, and this is just from my own personal satisfaction, when I started this series, I have been the series itself has obviously the name I gave it, an Abyss Midmost, which is really cool. I think everyone can agree on that. And I've also had a naming scheme for the episodes as VODs. And I set a little challenge for the players of if you can find where those references come from without just directly Googling them, like have a look around or whatever, then go ahead. Oh, sorry, there was a question from 42. I'll cover that after this. No one managed to get it, probably because no one cares about this kind of thing except for me, and that's fine because it's just how I amuse myself when I'm writing things together. Does anyone want to take any last punts at where the names of everything in this came from? Not the characters and everything, but like the name of the series and the names of the episodes. Does anyone want to take a punt? For anyone interested, let's just read them out. So the series was called An Abyss Midmost, and the actual titles of the episodes were respectively the first one was called By Fortune and Fate, the next one was called Fallen Among Shallows, then we had A Contrary Wind, and then Before Us a High Mountain, and the last one was called Into the Inward, and I don't know what this one will be called yet. I have to look it up. Any guesses?
Is it a Philip K. Dick reference?
No.
See,
it is literary.
Yeah, my guess is that it's something sort of historical, maritime fiction. And I know that you're a huge fan of The Terror, and I wonder if they're chapter titles from the book, The Terror.
I am a big fan of The Terror, although I haven't read the book. Just seen the TV series, which I do love. No, it's not from that. It is maritime fiction. It's a lot older than The Terror.
I only know one work of maritime fiction. Is it Moby Dick?
It's not Moby Dick. It predates Moby Dick significantly.
What? There's nothing. He invented boats.
Wales.
The way I described this setting from the beginning, it's like Firefly, but instead of mixing it with the Western, it's mixed it with Thousand-And-One-Nights. It's the 6th voyage of Sinbad.
Wow.
Where he is stranded on a mountainous island.
It's
because he's
hyper
shipwrecked.
Yeah,
very good. I hope someone from Free League watches this and goes, yeah.
I'm just saying, an Abyss Midmost would be a hell of an Abyss Midmost be a hell of a name for the book release. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Sure. There we go. So that's the kind of thing I nerd over when I'm writing stories. So that's made everyone happy. Yeah, to quickly cover the question that 42 slung in, by the way, I was asking about character advancement. We haven't been doing it because we weren't sure if we were going to do another one, but we'll retcon it, like if we do another stuff, and they will get XP. But it's based on what a lot of the Year Zero ones are, which is just asking the players questions at the end of every session, and for every one they can kind of like confirm they get an XP. And in the case of this, it's did you participate in the session? Did you overcome a difficult challenge to help your crew reach its current goal? Did you put yourself or your crew at risk because of your personal problem? Did you learn something new about yourself or another player character? Did you sacrifice or risk something for your player to character buddy? And did you act in accordance with your icon? And for every one of them, you get an XP. And I think, but don't quote me on it, that it's got a pretty standard Year Zero thing of like spending maybe 5 or 10 XP on just bumping up a skill by a level or getting a new talent. That's how Year Zero tends to work. So I suspect that's how that completely works. But if we come back to Coriolis with these characters, we'll and I hope we do actually, then we will make sure they get their XP that is due to them.
It was nice not playing the post-traumatic wreck for a change.
Sure, that's always got to be a brief relief from the nightmare of Symbaroum, or indeed existence. So thank you once again, everyone. We've run quite a bit over this week. Thank you to the players for hanging on, and we will see you next week. We return for Symbaroum, and before that happens, there'll be a recap video. Lucky you if you need to catch up on the story so far. That will be produced this week somehow. So we'll see you then for Symbaroum, folks. Thanks so much. Goodbye.